everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal, bringing you our Legacy Challenge coverage. This is round 5. We are in the finals here, playing for gold, playing for the big win, the challenge victory. I'm Sarven McLinton, and I'm in the booth here with not Beckett Wolf. It's Jackson the McCall-Pearce.
What's up, everyone?
See, no good day guys here.
Yeah.
And we're down to a matchup here with, on the right, we have Socrates Stavropoulos, and he's on his blue-black tempo build. And unfortunately, he's facing down me on the left.
Yep. Rocking your bug delver still, so...
That's it.
Yeah.
I am here to sadly crush dreams because unfortunately, Socrates and I, we play a lot together and we do a lot of testing, we do a lot of brewing as well. And every time we come to a tournament and he's 4-0 or 3-1, and I'm 4-0 or 3-1, something like that, we end up meeting at the end on camera because we want him to get his win. We're really, really excited about getting Socrates into the Hall of Heroes. He has many, many top 8 finishes, but he's still looking for that one win. Yep. And so hopefully we can get him there, and maybe we'll be able to get him there in this match. I will not ruin the result for the audience at home.
I think that's a good plan.
I think we have a few Socrates fans, so let's have a look at his deck. So he is on blue-black tempo. For more detail on this, check out round 1. We'll just give you a really brief overview to save a little bit of time and jump into the action. It's essentially a tempo deck with Dark Confidant, which you don't see that much these days because people like to play Gurmag Angler and Tombstalker and that kind of stuff. Instead, Socrates forgoes the big delve guys and instead goes for the low to the ground threats like Bob, and then you've got the mainstays Delver and Deathrite Shaman, bunch of hand disruption, Wastelands paired with Mutavault, which is why he's running only 2 colours, allowing him that little spell stutter sprite interaction and a little bit of beats. So let's switch over to my deck. I'm on Bug Delver. So this is a Delver mirror match, but the decks are very, very different. Socrates has the Bitter Blossom in the main deck, which is an extremely good mirror breaker in this kind of a match. And I've got the Big Delve threat in Tombstalker, and then I've got the True Name Nemesis, which are really, really good at bashing through opposing blockers. My sideboard is transformative, so I get a big control type of mid-rangey control grind fest to break the mirror, and Socrates is more hinged on beating the graveyard reanimation type decks, which are quite popular in the format at the moment. So, are we ready to jump down into the action?
Should be good.
We're just rolling dice, I guess, resolving. So I'm on 7, and Socrates is on...
He's on.
More than that.
That's a 9.
Yeah, Socrates is on the play.
Fist bump.
Fist bump for the opener.
Excellent.
It is now the routine.
Yep.
So being on the play is pretty important in the Delver mirror, mainly because Delver and Daze. Okay, so I've got double Deathrite Shaman, Hymn to Turak, Brainstorm Ponder, and I'm giving a thumbs up for an amazing hand.
Yeah, that looks real good.
But Socrates is on Force of Will, which will interact with my hand to some degree.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Force of Will card disadvantage paired with being Hymn to Turak can be pretty backbreaking.
Yeah.
He does, however, I believe, have a piece of hand disruption. I think I saw a black hand disruption in its spell in there, which is why he's fetching that basic stomp.
Yep. Well, ripping something like that Hymn to Turak would be just a really good move early on, because that would just put him so far behind.
That's it. Now, fetching Swamp here does mean he doesn't threaten Daze anymore, which is one of the biggest advantages of being, on the play, playing your threat and having Daze back up.
Okay.
Yep, so it's Thoughtseize, and this is a Lorwyn foil, so original print foil, and it looks good.
That art's amazing.
I'm trying hard with my deck, but yeah, so he goes for the Deathrite Shaman.
Interesting.
So that if he had Underground Sea with his fetch, I would be really worried here about deploying Deathrite Shaman on turn 1 and getting dazed.
Yeah.
And having 0 threats and not being able to win the Deathrite Shaman war. So if he had led with Underground Sea, I would not actually deploy Deathrite Shaman turn 1.
Okay, so you've drawn something blue. Can't quite tell what that is. All right, so we've got turn 1 DRS, which is always nice.
So a lot of the time, these matches in game 1 are decided on how much you can leverage days.
Yep.
If you can leverage the days, then you're going to get a massive advantage because these decks don't have card advantage. Not much of it, aside from his Bitter Blossom and my him. Interestingly, neither of us have had a position to days, and it means that later in the game can be decided by who draws too many days.
Yeah. It's nothing worse than needing, like, pretty much anything to interact with your opponent and you just draw a daze on, like, turn 8.
Yeah, I needed this on turn 1. So he's got another basic. So maybe that he was just trying to be insulated against Wasteland. So I'm going to brainstorm, ponder him, Misty Rainforest. So he's on double basic, and he was probably wisely playing around Wasteland because he might have only had 2 lands in hand. And so I can definitely see why that was a fetch for basic on turn 1 and deploy Thoughtseize.
Yeah, makes sense. So
I'm pretty scared of
deciding something.
He's seen my hand and he knows that I've only had 1 draw step to draw days.
Yeah.
So he can probably safely deploy Bitter Blossom or something like that. But instead he is playing around or representing Stifle is another option.
So it's the Battle of the Shamans. The elf shamans.
Yeah, so the way that you play this differs from game to game, right?
Yeah.
So here, if I had, say, a Liliana, I could go, let's just activate Death right now, use the land, or Liliana's a snap play, so let's not say that. If I had Tarmogoyf, then, play it to deploy a Thoughtseize and then a Tarmogoyf, and just both of us end up being allowed to use our Death Rights.
Brainstorm into...
Underground Sea, True Name Force.
So you're getting rid of...
So put away Underground Sea.
And
then 1 card. Usually probably Brainstorm is my guess, but...
Yeah.
Because Brainstorm's kind of like now the worst card in the hand.
Yeah.
But it depends on, if you put away the Ponder, keep the Brainstorm and keep a fetch.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've played the fetch, haven't I?
Yeah, you played the fetch.
So then you put away Brainstorm. Brainstorm becomes not as good.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like when your hand is... That's one thing that people don't often do is when your hand is really good. My hand's really good, right? It's got everything I want. I got card selection. I got force to protect my threat, and arguably you can put force away and shuffle that away and just try and play the card advantage war. But if your hand's really good, just put days away.
Yeah,
like you don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
And now the question here becomes: do you want to fight the Deathrite Shaman war? By just having the stalemate, or do you want to activate Deathrite Shaman in your turn and just kind of accept the fact that your opponent will also be able to activate their Deathrite Shaman in their turn?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, playing that him to Turak seems like a good move. So,
Yep.
Okay, so exiling Delta.
So this can get dazed.
Yep.
But what it does is also allow me to force back and then get rid of his whole hand. If it works that way.
It's brutal.
So he pitches the worst card in his hand, which is Spellstarter Sprite.
Yeah.
Later in the game, Spellstarter Sprite gives him card advantage, which is actually relevant. Like it can actually just counter a Brainstorm or a Ponder and actually be a body to hold an Umazawa's Jitter. So here I do force back, and so I must have not put the Brainstorm back because I was going to keep that blue card to pitch.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this way I end up emptying his entire hand.
Yeah.
So, and I have True Name Nemesis and land. Yeah, so this is an example of why I very, very rarely ever force of will someone's him to Turak.
Yeah.
Because this happens. Because if they have a counterspell, days or force of will, whatever it is, then you lose your entire hand.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just let them him you discard a land and the force of will.
Yeah.
Now you deploy a threat. Or you discard your 2 threats.
Yeah.
And then you have the force of will to counter the thing the True Name Nemesis. Right?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean...
It depends what you're playing, right? But I very, very rarely force him.
Yeah. Well, your turn 3 seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So...
And the thing is, it is definitely straightforward. And Sock is now just doing the math about preventing Tarmogoyfs by, do you get rid of instants? Do you get rid of sorceries? Etc. But it is actually relevant here that if I play True Name Nemesis next turn, I can't activate Deathrite Shaman. If I can't activate Deathrite Shaman, I've just lost 2 life here. And if Delver flips, the following turn I'm on 10. So in reality, True Name Nemesis isn't actually as good as it looks.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that Goyf might be more tempting, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a choice here to play True Name and can't activate Deathrite.
Yep.
Or play Goyf and can activate Deathrite but can't get True Name on the board.
Yep, okay.
The reason I go with this play is, first of all, I attack with Deathrite Shaman, and this is obviously no block, so it's a free 1 damage.
Yep,
It's entirely free. I fetch and I play True Name here.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have a hand, so I'm getting around days now.
Yeah, okay.
And the second reason is if he has Fatal Push, then off the top deck, then I actually lose the race. Guaranteed. Okay. Because he flips Fatal Push to Delver.
Yeah.
Delver and Deathrite work in conjunction to take me down to 9.
Yeah.
And he Fatal Pushes my Tarmogoyf.
Okay.
And I basically lose the game on the spot there. Like, there's no way once you're behind that far, you can't get back in again.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's my rationale for playing True Name. Now, here, Socrates has activated his Deathrite and exiled my Force of Will. So I go down to 12 and he's on 15.
Yep.
True Name is a 5-turn clock if you assume that the Deathrites keep each other out of the equation.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that pans out. The advantage here is that his... so I played that play going this way. If Delver flips, we still have a war. We still have a battle to fight.
Yeah. Okay. Ponder. Yeah. Nice.
But my last card is hand Tarmogoyf, and I got Daze, Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
And what was the last one? I can't quite see it.
I didn't quite see it either. Is it Edict? No.
Yeah, it's... I think it's a second Deathrite Shaman. Just
okay.
2 Deathrite Shamans in a Daze. Yeah, that's right. Because like the third card is basically dead.
Yeah.
You can assume that... And in reality, you can assume that both Deathrite Shamans are dead to some degree.
Yeah.
But the choice here is to shuff or to keep. And I dismember. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dismember. So I draw the Daze. I keep Dismember on top because I do not want to cast Dismember now. I definitely want to cast Tarmogoyf.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like totally priced into casting Tarmogoyf.
Okay.
I play around Daze.
Yep.
Even though he didn't reveal to Delver. You know, there's an argument there that it's like, you know, he keeps it, but I just don't want to get wrecked by it.
Yep.
So yeah, play around Daze by keeping Deathrite Shaman up, then a bash for 4.
Yep.
Now, if the Delver flips here, then I still think I'm in the commanding position.
Yeah.
If the Delver doesn't flip, I'm definitely ahead. So it doesn't flip, so I'm definitely ahead.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, if it flipped there, I could go down to 7, but then I just totally win the race the other way around.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you know that my top deck for next turn is Dismember, and I didn't want to draw Dismember that turn because I didn't want to lose 4 life.
Well, yeah,
because it's actually relevant. Because if the Delver flipped, it's really, really bad. Like, a Dismember his Deathrite, Delver flips, I lose.
Yeah,
right. Or kill the the Delver, but then he keeps his Deathrite back, and I can't gain more life, and I've lost 4, so I've gone to 6.
Okay.
So
well, it looks like you've got a pretty solid clock.
Yeah, I've totally won now. Like, this is I'm so far ahead because I did True Name first and then deployed Tarmogoyf and attacked with Deathrite twice to bring him from 13 to 11.
Ooh, so Dismember the Deathrite.
Yep. Dismember,
pretty
spend
good.
all the mana.
Yep.
Right, because this is
still
a race.
got 1 for Deathrite as well.
Yep.
So
And
attacks.
All swing.
Seems good.
So he has a choice here, and that is like chump block or take everything and lose next turn.
Yeah.
And basically he takes everything.
Yeah.
And it's lethal next turn, right?
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, he's like searching his brain for all the possible outs, and there are 0 outs. Like his outs are, and that's why I dismembered the Deathrite Shaman, because he could actually keep the Deathrite Shaman around, go land, Diabolic Edict.
Yeah.
Sure, I keep a True Name, but it is a way for him to try and stabilize. But either way, that was all she wrote for game 1.
Yep.
So now we go to sideboard, and this is where things get really interesting. So for Socrates, this is probably the clincher. For Socrates, he has nothing for me. So if you look at the sideboard, he's got Toxic Deluge, and that's it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Toxic D, I think is quite good in this matchup.
It's actually not great because...
It's not great? Okay.
Because as tempo decks, once you go to the sideboard and you know your opponent will have some form of sweeper, Marsh Casualties, Golgari Charm, I can't think of other ones, Toxic Deluge.
Yeah.
Like, once you know they have some kind of sweeper, you never overcommit.
Yeah, okay.
You just always go like one dude and ride the dude.
Yeah.
And then when they overcommit, you blow them out.
Okay.
So like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really, really bad to overcommit in the post-cyborg games knowing sweepers. So Toxic Deluge is good, but it will almost always kill a True Name Nemesis or a Delver or a Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, okay.
And very rarely it kills a Tarmogoyf, because they take like 6 in the process, and 6 is not irrelevant against tempo decks.
Yeah.
So in reality, his main deck is actually quite nicely positioned as a tempo deck because he has Umezawa's Jitter, and he's got flying evasive creatures in Spellstarter Sprite, and he has Cavern of Souls. So like I think his main deck is actually quite good against me. So only having 1 card to bring in is not the end of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I imagine Jitte will, that's a real game decider, I think, in this matchup.
Like, if I don't have Abrupt Decay, then Umezawa's Jitte is basically going to say, spend all your removal on every single creature I play, and eventually you'll run out of removal.
Yeah.
And then Jitte connects, and it's game over.
Okay.
So I know at one point Socrates is running a second Jitte in the side, specifically because of that. Like, it just was so good at breaking the mirror and really good against elves. However, after many discussions, he's gone down to the 1 in 75 because we talked about it, and it's like you have a second Jitte, but often you don't have enough creatures. You need a critical mass of creatures.
I feel like one critter Socrates has that could make a difference is possibly Dark Confidant.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Dark Confidant, Bitter Blossom, and Cavern of Souls and Spellstarter Sprite get him so much value. Here's my sideboard. 4 days, 4 Wasteland, 3 Force of Will.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of cards coming in.
And that's out. In comes Sylvan Library, Jitter, Diabolic Edict, Thought Seizers, Leovold, Liliana, Jace, Marsh Casualties.
Jeez. Wow.
So, yeah, I sideboard 11 cards in this matchup. So
11 cards, that's crazy.
Yeah, I have a very...
changing decks.
Yeah, I have a very... a lot of people have different ways of sideboarding in this matchup. Yeah. And you can kind of go like, I'm going to be the better tempo deck than you because I'm on the play, and then you're on the draw, and then I'll keep my dazes in, and then you do. There's so many situations where, you go, you have 4 cards to cut, and you cut 3 forces and 1 daze on the play, and then you cut 3 forces and 3 dazes and 1 force on the draw. Okay. Like, there's all these mathematics that you can go about it, but whenever I'm against a tempo deck, I use a completely different approach, and that is, but in this one, because he's on a 2-colored tempo deck, more so, all my Wastelands come out. Okay. All of them come out. That gives you 4 bad cards become 4 actual spells. Jace, Liliana, Marsh Casualties, Umezawa's Jitter. Like, they become real spells. They don't become, lands that occasionally kill a Mutavault that aren't great. And the other one is I'll keep in 1 Force of Will because I'm on the draw and I don't want to lose to turn 2 Bitter Blossom. Something like that would be pretty backbreaking.
Yeah, okay.
But at the end of the day, I'm a control deck now. And you can see my hand is Force of Will, Liliana, the Last Hope, Abrupt Decay, and his is double Force Spellstarter Sprite. So his hand is entirely a tempo hand.
Yeah.
And the best part about that for me is that he will run out of gas and I'll take over.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to use his forces at some point. Force is terrible. I just happened to draw the 1 force in the deck.
Yeah.
Okay. I went down to 1 force.
Multi-force.
I sideboarded down to 1 force. I happened to draw the 1 force.
Yeah.
So that's not indicative of how this deck plays out in post side. and I don't use it. I'm just going to use it to protect the big threat. Whatever my big threat is, I'm going to protect that with the Force because I don't want to lose too much value.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So Socks...
He's got the best opening. This is really good opening.
Best opening in Legacy, really. Well, maybe a turn 1 Gristlebrand or Emrakul would be better, but
I would say, I'd agree. Yep. Turn 1 Deathrat Shaman is the best opening in Legacy in a vacuum. So I drew Jitter. I don't have a creature, but that's what happens when you're post side. You've taken out a whole bunch of non-creatures. You brought in a whole bunch more non-creatures as well, plus Leovold.
Yeah.
So you don't increase your chances of drawing more creatures. All you do is have less counter magic.
Yeah.
And the counter magic is real spells. So I'm activating Verdant Catacombs. He's responding with his own. It's the old Stifle dance.
Yeah, both playing around, the potential Stifle.
Yeah. I have land in my hand, but in reality, I don't play it because I want him to... If he did have Stifle, I'd want him to use a Stifle on my land because, I have land.
Yeah.
I don't need any additional land. So...
Okay.
I don't need to do the old bluff of, I've got a Stifle for your Stifle, or I've got a Spell Pierce for your Stifle. Or, we don't need to play that game. So this is pretty much straight off the bat 2-drop here, and I want to play my least impactful 2-drop here, and it's Hymn to Turak.
Okay.
And that's saying something because Hymn to Turak is hugely impactful. But I have Imazal's Jitter in hand, and sometimes you just deploy the Jitter. Knowing they don't have an Abrupt Decay or something, you just deploy it. But I'm thinking if I get dazed, I'd rather have my him dazed than my Jitter.
Yeah, for sure.
Jitter just going to pull ahead. Even though I don't have creatures, it'll threaten to pull ahead, right?
Yeah. Okay, Sock is forcing it.
And now we have that conversation again, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So is it going to be a repeat?
Well, I do not have another blue card in hand, and this is a telling thing where I drew the force of I sided out 3 forces because I didn't want this to happen, and I end up drawing force and no blue card. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I feel like so if you Hymn to Turak him and you hit a force and a spell starter sprite, you'd be pretty happy.
I'm very happy. I was actually happy to him and it trade with days. That's I was expecting it to be trading with days because then it takes the days out and next turn I can Liliana.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Wasteland here is pretty strong.
Bay is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think he's afraid of draws Leovold the turn after the Bayou gets hit. So I had 4 land, so 3 land, 4 land. I can't remember. The Wasteland is still relevant, but being the control player and in this matchup, I do need to hit my lands. So he's playing it right by Wastelanding me. I just deployed Jitter here.
Okay.
And that's because I have literally nothing better to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Seems good.
Yeah. The rest of my hand is slow. It's Leovold, Liliana, Last Hope. But as soon as I deploy them, I'm going to take over, right? Yeah. And I want to deploy Leovold with the Jitter on the battlefield ready to go the following turn.
Yeah.
So he's pecking away, and this is 2 damage each turn. I'm on 13, and it is not irrelevant.
Yeah.
But my plan is to eventually... Jitter and get that life back.
Yeah. Okay, so he's got Cavern of Souls.
Yep.
So there's a few things he could definitely name.
Cavern names Wizard. So that's my hand. Force of Will, Leovold, Liliana, land. So I've got land. It's not a problem. But he just swings in with his little Deathrite because there's nothing in the bin.
And, there isn't. Yeah.
So I haven't. No one wants to really deploy any. Well, he wants to deploy spells, but they're all kind of reactive spells, and I don't want to deploy spells.
Okay.
So I just pass turn here. No, I'm not passing turn. What am I doing? Yeah. It was unclear what I was doing there.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Rearranging lands.
I think I was like, what are the odds that I'm going to get blown out by playing? Yeah, Yeah, oh wait, that's right. I think there's a point coming up where I get blown out, but we'll see. That's right. This is it. This is where I'm going to get blown out.
Oh, okay.
So you know how my card in hand is Golgari Charm?
Yep.
I didn't know this. I got told this after the match, and this is so cool. But I'm fatal pushing his Deathrite.
Yep.
He goes Spellstutter Sprite, and his plan is for after it resolves, he will counter the fatal push.
Yeah.
I go to Force of Will this thing, and Soccer's like, no, it's a wizard. And I'm like, oh, yeah, my bad. So, yeah, I was like pointing to I was like, oh no, it's tribal wizards, right? So I'm making a joke there. But anyway, it all works out in his favor.
Yeah.
Because what I should have done is the Spellstutter Sprite trigger is on the stack.
Yeah.
Let it resolve. Spellstutter Sprite trigger on the stack. Crack my fetch. Cast Golgari Charm.
Yeah.
It kills Spellstutter Sprite. He no longer owns any fairies.
Oh,
X is 0,
wow.
and Fatal Push resolves.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I got so wrecked by my lack of knowledge of how Spellstutter Sprite's trigger works. And Simon, the judge, told me afterwards, and I'm like, oh my God, that's insanely good.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting you would know it because it's specifically people who played Standard in the Lorwyn era. That happened all the time, right?
Okay.
That kind of interaction of killing the number of fairies they had so that the trigger would have X as 0.
Wow.
It happened all the time, but I just didn't play Standard at that time, so I didn't realize that was a thing.
Wow, that's really interesting. It makes
really cool,
sense.
Right?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So for those at home who were screaming at the screen, going like, "Cast the Golgari Charm," I get you, man. I feel you. Like I'm doing that now to myself in time travel, hindsight. I want to be there like, cast the Golgari Charm, you get a massive blowout. You kill both of the dudes. Fatal Push and Golgari Charm trade 1-for-1 with their 2 dudes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get any value at all off the fairy. So now I'm actually behind.
Yep.
So due to my inexperience with that interaction, I'm now behind. I have to deploy a 3-drop. And I have to risk the days, right? Like, I wasn't playing around days earlier. I was trying to use up a day, so I kind of go, maybe he's got his days as a gone. So,
really?
Yeah, I play my lower value guy, thinking it's not going to resolve because this is going to peck off each of his little creatures that he plays for the rest of the game, except for Deathrite.
Okay.
But it ends up resolving, and I'm like, oh, this is excellent. It means that I still get to keep... Leovold and actually deploy Leovold the next turn.
Yeah, okay.
Which I was really unexpected. I was really not expecting the Lily to resolve. I was expecting to have to kind of protect Leo later. So now that Lily has resolved, it's actually huge because as we were testing, once Lily is resolved in a deck that doesn't have Abrupt Decay, you can't answer it. That's the end of the game. Lily is going to go to the ultimate. So yeah, Golgari Charm and Thoughtseize and Force of Will and Leovold. And as you can see, that Force of Will has been stagnant in my hand from the beginning of the game.
Yeah, some nothing.
Yeah, and when I sideboard this way, that Force of Will is one of those big haymakers. It was a Jason Mind Sculptor or a Marsh Casualties or something like that.
Yeah.
So imagine if that was that. That's what you're doing. You're just trading like 2-for-1s constantly.
Yeah.
So that's the philosophy behind it. But I ended up drawing, and it doesn't quite look the way it's meant to sideboard into. So if you're at home thinking it's that sideboard plan isn't quite working out, that's what it is. Just luck of the draw, I drew the 1.
Okay. So he's got the DRS.
Yep. So now he's got Deathrite Shaman Ascendancy. I'm on 10, remember?
Yeah.
I'm on 10 and he's got 2 of these guys who could hypothetically, once there are some more instances in sorceries in the graveyard, could actually just kill me.
Well, you get to kind of pop 1 a turn, so...
No, you don't. They're 1/2s.
Oh, yeah. So that's why
I was saying Lily Last Hope is actually my least valuable 3-drop.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's things I can do, but I have to choose here between deploying Leo or keeping the Leo as my blue card to pitch to Force of Will. Again, which is why I don't like the sideboard plan that keeps in all the forces.
Yeah.
Because this happens. And as you can see, Sock has actually had pitched a Spellstutter Sprite to his force early in the game. And imagine if he had that Spellstutter, being able to counter a Thoughtseize or, just something that would otherwise trade with him 1-for-1, and he gets to get a 2-for-1.
Seems good.
So here's Leo.
Yeah.
And Sock responds, and again, I'm just like getting mono blown out. Oh. Yeah, hard cast Force of Will. I was just like, I'm like, I'm so far behind now. Like, he's got his Deathrite Shaman Ascendancy, and he gets to, exile my Leovold.
Yeah.
And I'm discussing, like, I could return Leovold here, but I'm behind.
Yeah.
And if I return Leovold and I deploy Leovold next turn, I'm just going to die to Deathrite Shamans.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually just, he just attacks me or exiles, because he's got a Force of Will in the bin now.
Yeah.
He exiles 1 force, I go to 8. He attacks for 1, I'm on 7.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, or whichever one I minus just to make its power lower, that one doesn't attack it. It does the exiling.
Yeah.
So, I have to decide whether to return Leo or not. And I decide not. I'm just going to go up because it's a strange decision. But the thing is, I've just decided I'm not going to have the time to deploy Leo next turn. So, because next turn my plan is to cast my removal spells.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to cast removal spells on these Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a hard choice to make, but letting him exile my Leo is, it looks weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as you can see, he's deployed a Delver, and I was already on the remove your creatures plan.
Yeah.
So now he's played another creature. I'm like, oh, this is really bad for me. However, you'll note that there's a card in my hand that's been in there since the beginning of the game, and it's Golgari Charm.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, where I become control and he becomes tempo.
Yeah.
And I'm like mono 2 for 1s.
So you just minus and then shoot the other Deathrite Shaman, and he's down to 1. Yeah, that seems good.
So I end up using Marsh Casualties instead because it keeps Golgari Charm for me to kill a Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those at home, that's a -1 to everything. Only kills a Delver, but then it allows me to use Liliana to -1 more on the Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
So now Lily is doing work, and I get to run back exactly the same play next turn with Golgari Charm.
Yeah.
So get rid of all the Deathrites. But, he's going to Deathrite me to 6.
Ooh, okay, yep.
And he also has Imazal's Jite.
Yeah.
So, but he actually has to make a choice here. You connect with Jite, or you take me to 6 with the Deathrite Shaman. So, like, it's quite interesting. I think Jite is correct.
Yeah, I think Jite is correct.
Yeah, but it's definitely a choice to be made.
Yeah.
So, yeah, here's that force finally comes out.
Yeah.
I had drawn a Brainstorm that last turn, so there I had a blue card. And, yeah, he exiles the Marsh Casualties, takes me to 5 because of the force. So here we go. Golgari Charm, -1 to everything, and... now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, now operations will go very swiftly because I am in the driver's seat. I have ultimate Lily Last Hope on the board, or if he plays a creature like a Dark Confidant or Delver, it dies instantly.
Yeah.
So I get to choose either or.
Oof, brutal.
So, yeah, Lily the Last Hope is... I know that Sock doesn't have Abrupt Decay in his deck, but I thought, maybe the last night he might have put an Abrupt Decay in his sideboard. Like, I'm thinking, maybe I should just ultimate now. Maybe I should ultimate. But, I'm just kind of going through all those things. How do I lose? And I do lose to Abrupt Decay, but I'm very far ahead if I get to activate the ultimate on Lily Last Hope.
Yeah, that ultimate is just ridiculous.
Yep, it basically wins the game.
Yeah.
Now... I make a really risky play here, and I specifically said to him, don't have Vendilion Click. Because he's Socrates, and I'm like, please don't have Vendilion Click, and I just want to see your hand. And he has Diabolic Edict, which was going to play around any kind of Umazawa's Jite equips.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, as you can see, for the Click plays, Thoughtseize makes me go to 3, and if he plays Click in response... and then the next turn he just swings me for 3 and I lose.
Yeah.
But that's why I kept Lily Last Hope on the board.
Yep.
Because then if he plays Click, I just minus and kill her, and I still have the same game plan of ultimating next turn.
Yeah, seems good.
I was kind of forcing it to kind of go, Thoughtseize you, and if it's Click, I kill your Click regardless. Go to 3. But you know how you play around all those marginal outs? All the marginal outs, play around them.
Yeah, of course.
So here I go up. Yep. Reason being, I have Tarmogoyf. Yep. So if he Abrupt Decays Lily, then I equip Tarmogoyf to Jitter, and I get... I'm like so far ahead. If he has removal for creatures, Tarmogoyf dies, but I have zombies.
So you, Goyf, Jitte, swing...
Yeah.
Kill Bob if he doesn't block.
Yep, that's it.
Seems good.
Bash in. And he's empty-handed. Tarmogoyf's a 5/6. He's empty-handed. He takes 5. I get 2 counters. I no longer have to be on 3 anymore because that was the terrifying position to be in.
Yeah.
Minus Bob. Don't even use Lily to minus it. I just want the ult. Right?
Oh, dear.
Like you can... with 1 Jitter counter, I don't lose.
Yeah.
So, there's arguments to just upping Lily if I needed to, but here's my 2 zombies end of turn. And this is basically what happens when you become control sideboard.
Yeah. That's a lot of nastiness on the board right now.
Mono nasty pasty.
Yeah.
And that's the handshake. So that takes me to 5-0. Socrates, I believe, placed 4th after this. He's still gunning for his challenge win. He comes very, very close each time, constantly 2nd place or 3rd place, roughly. And we have likened my position to the dream-crushing end-level boss every time Socrates and I are playing in the finals.
Yeah.
Sorry, Socrates. I apologise for relegating you. And that is the end of our Legacy Challenge. Thank you very much, everyone at home, for watching. It's been a pleasure having you, and we will be bringing you the Highlander Challenge next month.
All right, see you guys.